Great. Thanks, everyone. And we are starting, at least by my watch, about right on time. First topic is the meeting minutes from April. Any comments, changes, updates? Did everybody get a chance to review them? Looks good. Melinda did her normal, amazing job of taking notes, all the back and forth. Great, thank you. No, thank you for doing all of that. No, so then I would say the minutes are now approved. All right, so that's topic number one. Topic number two. So you went with third generation.
Third generation.
What's the,
Signed off on the proposal. We're just coordinating what the next steps are, training,
yeah,
going through those motions and trying to sort out what our goal date is for installation.
okay,
We're going to end up having a couple of months of overlap.
Oh,
with
yeah.
The consolidated bill that it's well within what we've budgeted. So just moving forward.
so it's all good.
It's all good.
Consolidated can be a little slow with the number ports.
I mean, if we have it done by August, that's not a problem,
Good. Good, good. Did you decide to buy or lease the phones?
please.
Please. Okay. Any questions from anybody on the new phone system? I think it's great, and based upon the numbers, if I remember, we're actually saving money versus what we have today.
Yeah, we'll save money initially from what we budgeted. Worst case scenario, we break even.
Yeah. With
So-
technology that's 10, 20 times better than what we have today.
Exactly.
So it's a
That's not a
win-win.
bad worst case.
No, I mean, that falls into the realm of no brainer.
Right. We don't often have too many of
No.
those, so we'll
Yeah.
enjoy it while we have it. Exactly. We'll take credit for it. All right, website update.
So responses have been coming into the survey that went out. There are, I think, about 12 responses that we've received so far, so it's
Okay.
not huge. It's pretty much evenly distributed between positive, neutral, and somewhat negative experiences. I think we have about 4 people who have volunteered so far to participate in a focus group. So that's more than I would have expected for the few responses that we have so far.
Are people leaving their name?
Yeah, but
No,
Personality?
we set it up for that you didn't have to sign it into McCandless and me.
but
So
those who volunteer have left contact.
they have left
information.
contact information. So we have their contact information.
Which I know that was a question the council had asked. They were afraid that people who might have a business or something else might have another type of interest and be going on there, and they wanted to be able to track who were actually McCandless residents versus special interest groups or people from the outside.
We will be able to determine on, based upon the email address, we go back to and then, make sure that anybody's on who's in on our focus groups when we get to that point.
But the
Focus group would be,
anonymous feedback, I will say that's a valid point. I think that's maybe something we should have considered before, but I'll also say so far, I haven't seen anything that looked extraordinary. Like
yeah,
there was nobody promoting anything. There were no crazy responses. All of them seem to be well thought out. A couple of them were skimpy responses too. So
that's true.
I don't feel like they have been. I don't think there's been anyone who's trying to influence.
No, not in this, but I think it's a bigger concern for the zoning project and the pins and the updates, that
Yeah.
there's a potential bigger issue since we've got these two things going on with McCandless and me, that the zoning, with that, because they've got an opportunity with, people have an opportunity now to drop tins and
That was
make
brought in too.
comments.
That was brought in too, Bob. And they were talking about being able to mark them on the map,
Mhm.
and that way, and then if they didn't want to leave their name, at least we knew. There was another place in the survey that they could leave their name down at the bottom, but the rest of it, they didn't have to use their name,
Mhm.
so that they could at least track where they were coming from.
The website might be a little different because you're gonna have businesses that may not, you basically indirectly serving the citizens. Like if I contract with a fence company that's in Butler
Mhm.
and they want information, like, and they can't find it, I mean, that's a valid
Yeah, I think
input.
that's still legitimate.
I mean, that's like a pass through of
Yeah,
the resident,
Yeah.
but I can see it on the zoning stuff that,
yeah. I think it's something we just need to be aware of, and especially when we get to a point of having, a focus group, that they are McCandless residents, that we just screen, do one last, when we get to that point, another screening, just to make sure. Or a business owner who has a business in McCandless, because I could see that too. Say, somebody who owns a small business owner in McCandless, has a vested interest in our community as well.
Sure.
So now,
So owe you a draft of a message that you could take forward then to try to get.
well, that we could all take forward. So what Mike and I talked about doing was drafting up, an email or whatever that we could all forward, because I know I have reached out, and I know a number of my neighbors are in that 12 responded, to reach out. And so we can start getting, some more information. And then I was going to ask, if council would be willing, because they've got their own little groups, just to get more awareness, since we did not make the McMail.
We're going to put out a special edition Friday.
Oh, okay.
We realized it Friday afternoon, and we thought it probably made more sense to wait just a little bit, then hit it as a special.
That's
edition.
fine.
So it is going to go out.
Okay.
So we're doing that, and then we're going to put out a town crier edition, and that's what the.
Okay, then that
covers.
covers what we, because then if we could I just would ask folks to just get the word out, because it's a couple of things. The fact that we've got 2 projects going out now on McCandless and me.
Well, we actually have 3.
Oh, right, because
our-
you've got
our
the
pension.
pension. Yeah.
And the one interesting thing in that, we've been looking at this from the standpoint of registered users
Mhm.
on McCandless and me. But in that month period where we introduced the website, and the pension RFP and the
Zoning.
zoning, there were over 700 who visited the site.
Oh, great.
So, I mean,
That could be people have visited multiple times.
it could be, but I mean,
But at
they're
least-
so, the projects are so distinct,
Uh-huh.
somebody who's going in to look at a pension RFP isn't gonna worry too much about zoning
Right.
or something else, but I like that idea of seeing those types of visitors, because it becomes, I think, more of a realistic figure to track
Yeah.
moving forward.
And-
So we're going to do that.
And the
Great.
special editions, we felt that was needed to get that message out there.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have a lot more than 700 residents on campus. And that's just
Yeah.
a small.
A small, but
29,000 and change.
yeah, but it's a start, and that's what I think, if we can drive some more traffic, because that would, that we're getting input, I think that would be good for the platforms.
And actually,
Across the board.
I'll say this, the platform of McCandless and me for the pension RFP has
Mm-hmm.
been good because of the question and answer
Mhm.
portion. We've been able to post questions that we've received from potential submissions.
Oh, great.
Post a question, and then we just keep referring people back. So it works well in that regard.
Okay.
for us.
Good. Good.
I mean, with where we're at with this now, is there any reason not to go out and ask for proposals? I mean, you're getting involvement. And if people lose interest, so if you get people interested in the focus committee in June, and then don't do anything with the website for.
Oh, no, I
I think we should.
hit the ground running, go.
So, I mean, again, I was just thinking based off of things you had sent along the way. Civic Plus, Grankies,
Yeah, the ones that I, yeah.
Gov Unity. There might have been one other one.
There was another one that Jason mentioned to me. I'll get it to you guys.
'Cause I think,
It's a local.
I think that's Gov Unity.
Is it Gov Unity?
I think so, because they're
where's my,
doing a lot of Oakmonts and Penn
Yeah,
Hills
yeah,
and,
it's-
yeah,
Although I'll say this, I mean, I'm sure that it's very economic. But to me, it looks like a very basic site. So
Cranberry, did Cranberry win at the supervisors for website?
probably.
they're using
I
Civic
didn't
Plus,
see
aren't
the-
they?
Yeah, they're using,
The full blown.
the full blown Civic Plus.
Yeah,
Somebody mentioned that at council too. The Cranberry site,
Oh, well,
the website.
yeah,
is
if you want
phenomenal.
to spend for the full blown Civic
It's
Plus,
expensive.
yeah, it'd be great too, but
But it's,
you know,
there's other
and
ways.
I'll
we
say
could-
this, I mean, give Cranberry all the credit in the world. But the philosophy in Cranberry has been, if we need 4 people to do something, we'll hire 5. And if we think we need to spend $100,000 on something, we're gonna plan on spending 125 to 150. They go at it
Mhm.
at 100%,
Wow.
and that they don't
What?
And
think.
we
Yeah.
haven't done that.
well, and
Yeah, but-
there are
but they
tiers
have
and
debt, we
even like the
Well,
2
but they
variations of
also
Civic
have-
Plus, because I think
Bigger base.
Pine
a
was
bigger
second.
tax base.
Were they?
I think
What's Pine on?
Civic Plus. Pretty much everybody right around
Yeah,
is on
it's on
Civic
Civic.
Plus.
And I'll say one thing, I don't know, I haven't followed Civic Plus. One thing I like about Granicus, as I've looked at it, is that they have some other platforms like to be able to televise a meeting or, some other things that can just fully incorporate
Hmm.
into that platform. So I think it's very flexible. Not that Civic Plus isn't. But I think if you want to go top of the line, the top tier, you're looking at Granicus or Civic Plus probably.
Well, I do think it's time to reach out and start getting information from these folks. And I had uploaded to the SharePoint, the information that I had and reloaded. It should be there. Are you connected into SharePoint?
David, I've been having trouble getting into SharePoint again, so I couldn't get in there right now.
Hmm.
I'm in it right now. Are you looking for the one website update plan under Civic Plus
Yeah.
alternatives?
Yeah.
Yep.
Up at the top of that note is like 4 platforms, 3 or 4
Civic CMS, Civic Plus, Granicus, and Revise.
revised. was the other- That was the other one.
But I think you're right about Coffee.
They're in, I don't know where are they in Cranberry or are they in,
I don't know.
they're somewhere around
Yeah.
Pittsburgh.
They're more
What do you say that one's called? Gov Unity?
Gov
Yeah.
Unity.
I'll add that here.
Yeah. They're in Cranberry. Magnolia Lane, Cranberry. So there'd be another one to, since they're local.
I mean, I can
Okay.
probably write up a 1-page, even email kind of thing, just to,
That'd be great.
I mean, again, it's a base package. All of them are gonna have some kind of base package,
Yeah.
and then it's gonna be what's on their menu of everything else.
Right.
So basically, it's, you know what it is now, what does it take to move the website to a modern platform, and then what are the additions to after that?
I was just trying to think, does it make sense to get an idea of the potential additions, the list, the other ones that would be thinking of, or just have them provide us with options? that we could-
Maybe we tell them specifically, like, there probably are some things that we know
that we-
it's gonna end up.
Yeah,
The credit, the payment processing.
Right.
The permits and that kind of like,
but I honestly think at the end of the day,
savvy citizen.
the payment processing is going to end up being a link to a third-party processor.
or your bank or FNB.
Yeah, it's,
Mhm.
it's gonna take you somewhere else that most people wouldn't realize that they've left.
Right.
Our site, but.
So are they gonna design the website or are they going to design it and upkeep it?
They would be the platform for well, I'll say they'd be the platform. We would update content.
Yeah.
They would design it. We plug things in around their basic designs. But then,
They provide essentially a template. and then
yeah,
With the
we
features.
plug
built
into that
and
template
we
where
forward that we put.
So we maintain.
we
our own
maintain,
website.
we maintain.
The
The
content,
content, they maintain the platform.
yeah,
So they would be the one on the hook for protection, backups, all that kind of stuff. And then basically they're still there when you need to add a page or something special that is kind of beyond.
One important factor will be ADA compliance.
yeah,
Luckily, there's services that just do that now.
yeah.
Yeah,
We need that. The other would be to replace savvy citizens.
yes.
You know, some of the functionality that's in there of notifications and the rest of that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. Because we don't need to be paying for two.
There's some other some, I can't remember it now. Something else that I heard somewhere that like notified something. or
Yeah, some notice.
There's some other,
There's something like called Notify Me or something like that. There's Swift Reach. There's something Code Red or something, not the Mountain Dew drink.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a bunch.
Yeah,
But I think most of the ones that are worth their salt have some.
are gonna have so that type of functionality. That's, I'd like to make sure we've got that. And then the thought was also, this is where the interns come in as far as
That was gonna be my
redesign.
next question. We
Yeah.
were looking for some interns, right, Bob?
Yeah, was especially the communications one, as we work with the focus groups, you know, to try and help frame and put together a vision for what we want it to look like. And then whatever vendor would kind of set it up and then we fill it in, but that's,
Make it just like cranberries for the least amount of money.
yeah.
I mean, it's a website, it's a community. It's hard to argue structure of site. I mean,
Updated, but it has to be really easy to use.
Right.
Yes,
right, I
90%,
right.
at least 85% of our community is senior citizens,
yeah.
which I joined this year.
What's the official number for that?
65, right?
Okay, then I'm not there. Getting much closer.
Yeah, not quite there yet. Okay, so for a plan here, let's just kind of make sure we've got next steps for this on the website. We're launching out the additional focus, the additional McMail, the special edition. How long do we want to keep this survey out and going? We don't want to go forever. Do we want to keep it for another month?
Yeah, we don't want to have it out there forever because those people that volunteer,
Right, that I don't want to lose their interest.
but we want to make sure we provide enough time, so we want to wait for the mail to go out and give people some, we should have it expired.
Yeah, when do we want to have it expire?
Well, the mailing is just going out Friday, right?
Right,
Yeah,
just May 6th.
I wouldn't go beyond the end of the month.
That's what I was thinking too.
And if you can get the focus groups done like earlier in June, the earlier in June, the better.
So we
'cause
get
then-
them, we get
Well,
them locked in,
I'm
yeah.
actually thinking we could start making contact within a couple of weeks, with focus group.
Yeah.
Because if there's some stragglers for the survey, that's not gonna hurt anything to have a little bit of additional information.
Right.
Get away from vacation season for focus group. when-
Well, that's what I'm thinking as well, is we need to get this jump started, by June, early June, because then you get into graduations and vacations and, then time has flown. So,
So are you folks okay if I make a preliminary contact with these folks,
Yeah.
just right from the fact that?
Yeah, I don't see a
absolutely,
problem.
absolutely.
This is what we're, give, provide a little more detail, a little bit of framework, and then say we'll be getting back to you soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least acknowledge that.
Absolutely.
I've also started to put together some questions for the group and some assignments, but I'll share that with everybody so that we're all on the same page.
Perfect.
Makes sense?
Yep.
Mhm.
All right, so we'll keep the website up. We'll close at the end of the month. And Memorial Day is late, so that's a perfect time to just wrap it up at the end of May. Get the focus groups going. Joe, you're gonna put together a little one pager for,
I'll put something together, probably something you can just email.
Okay, and I'll have some of our people, we'll brainstorm internally and get to you what we think would be some of the potential avenues.
yeah,
These kind of focus groups, do you normally convene them synchronously or just connect them and have asynchronous feedback?
we haven't done one before, so,
There's no wrong way to do it.
yeah, so.
That's what Marcy's saying.
I found the wrong way first of all. No. I can just value to having a synchronous session, but I also don't know, for volunteers, it may be difficult to get them at the same time. Virtual session,
Well, if we
so-
get a handful and then, we can bounce some ideas off of folks as we do it, so.
That's the way I always ran our focus group, if that means anything. At schools, we used to bring in, especially when we were starting new programs.
Mhm.
We would bring like no more than 10 though. Because that gets to be 7 or 8 is perfect. After that, it gets a little crazy.
So do we want to, let's talk a bit about the interns. We still interested in doing interns? Do we want to, are we thinking potentially bring them on board, bring at least the communications one in June? Do we want to get, I literally, I'm tossing this out for feedback and comment.
Well, I think it would make sense if we can get the intern in about the same time we're rolling out the focus group.
Yeah.
They can get that information and.
They can also be doing, going through the current website, making sure, what you've got out there.
Maybe they'll find what they're looking for by the end of the year.
Maybe,
Search works great.
yeah. Search does
The
work.
search
good.
finds things that
That's
aren't linked.
And then you can't.
For our purposes, that's cheating.
Okay, good. Anything, Mike, anything else?
Nothing I can think of right now.
All right, good. Progress. It's getting there. I like that. All right, our next favorite topic then, enterprise software.
Tricia talked to both Edmonds and Springbrook
Yep,
this week.
yep.
Unless something changed between. When did I tell you that she talked? Was it yesterday? So if something changed from yesterday until tomorrow when I see her again, she was leaning heavily towards Springbrook.
Okay,
Big part of that thinking, I think it, the site or the accounting and like all of that was set up more the way she would hope for it to be set up and do what she would want it to do. Plus, Franklin Park is going to be moving to it. Pine's already there. I think Marshall may, if they're going to look, may go that way. So we would have a good
oh, that'd be
user
great.
group,
That'd be really, yeah.
locally to follow up back on.
I mean, I think it would be reasonable for the committee to just say at this point, you can pick Edmonds or you can pick Springbrook and it's fine. I mean, they're close enough in price.
I agree.
Yeah,
Edmonds might be a little bit better in permits or something, and Springbrook. I mean, none of them are going to be perfect. There's going to be one of the departments or the other departments that
Yeah,
it's give and take. So I mean, I think
so I think,
our official word could just be either one is fine.
At
Just-
this point,
and
I,
just
we
Get
have,
it done.
we have gone through this
yeah,
enough.
I mean,
There's,
yeah, I don't know what else you guys can
yeah,
lend to this, no offense, but I think you've done everything that you guys could do. The combination in our minds, Springbrook and Tracer, it'll get us the GPS tracking in
Yep.
Public Works. It's a great tool for work order
Mhm.
type complaint
Yep.
module. One thing I really like about what they do is that there's automatic escalation built into it, so that if something isn't addressed in a certain period of time, then maybe something can come to me that I can follow up on.
Perfect, yeah.
So there were just a lot of little things about Tracer that have been fine tuned that address a ton of different things that the council would like us to address. And it, in our minds.
and
it's
I
a
don't
good
think any,
combination.
and I would say from, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think we also all agree Tracer is a great
Yeah.
fit for what you, I don't
Well,
think
and-
there's any
and
other
they're
option.
actually-
that we-
Tracer is actually working with Springbrook on the interface.
Oh, good.
Can I just ask one question? Aside from Tricia, who else on your staff was able to hear these to see if it matches their needs?
We've had our payroll people
Okay.
in, we've had Melinda.
HR.
HR.
The HR people. We've had public works people.
That's all, that's fine.
We've
I just wanted to
incorporated
know
them.
because
Yeah.
too many times
No,
we've
we've,
been given.
Yeah.
Joe knows what I'm talking about. All of a sudden it's
I-
forced down our throats and
I mean,
it's not what we really need.
it's what you, one of these is, one of the two are what you need, and they're virtually the same price
Yeah,
over
I
5 years.
just always believe the
Yeah.
people closest to the,
yeah.
Well, And
Yeah.
that's, and we did. We
And
had,
We've had
I
as
mean,
many people involved as we possibly could.
yeah.
probably the two biggest things you'll need are make sure you get heavy training in Tracer, because that's what I've heard is that maybe there's not quite enough, and then it doesn't get utilized as much as it should. And with any like enterprise software, the policies
Mhm.
are more, almost as important as the software. If the policy isn't in the place to do something a certain way, you're never going to get the end result out of it.
Well, and your you should not try and make the software do things it wasn't designed to do.
Right.
Yes. We've learned that a lot here.
Right, that's,
Well, and that's part of our problem with that,
Right.
is that they've made it into something
that it never,
it was never.
And I guess I'm not talking about like crazy policies. I'm just talking about if you get an email about something from a resident that it has to be put here and you have to respond in this time frame, like simple stuff, not every little
Yeah.
Yep.
click, that
Oh,
kind of stuff.
Yeah, not kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
great.
okay,
Because you probably want to get that approved by June.
yeah.
Just get started, and because target the first of the year to,
Yep.
yeah.
You're gonna do Springbrook first, and then, are you gonna try and do them both?
We may be able to do them both. I don't know. I don't want to kill Melinda with everything. But
She said she will help me.
Yes, RJ will be thrilled with Tracer. She'll be
yeah, we'll
a happy camper.
we'll sort out the timing.
Okay.
of it.
Yeah, maybe there's some low hanging fruit that saves time
Yeah,
that you can do quicker, and
We might be able to actually start Tracer with in Public Works and
yeah,
migrate it over.
the GPS stuff, and yeah.
and that would have some wins, right, for
Yeah.
for you. That would be good.
can that also help us with all the complaints?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, it's built in.
yes. So, good. All right. Another one. Ching. We're doing, I like this, cha-chings. Body cams.
We're gonna cha-ching another one.
Yeah, cha-ching, all good there too?
Just
We,
waiting.
the cameras have been ordered.
Yay.
Policy's been approved by Department of Justice. All we're trying to sort out now is, I think we're up to having to report on 3 different sites for them. I mean, it's just internal crap that we have to do now. But it's just reporting and one of the things that we have to fine tune internally, and then with the Department of Justice is just ongoing process,
Mhm.
you know, the back and forth, net reporting, but we're moving in the right direction now.
Good.
Everything's where it needs to be right now.
Is there, there's enough, there were enough ordered that everyone gets their own?
Every officer will have their own.
Fantastic.
I mean, this isn't exactly in the body cam realm, but isn't the county gonna be kicking some of the stimulus money down to municipalities for police technology?
In some ways, it's what we're hearing.
Okay,
Believe it when we see it.
what's that?
We'll believe it when we see
Yeah,
it.
true, but if it,
There's hope.
as I've seen with some of those, it's like, give us what you want right now. 2 days later, they say buy it and you have 30 days to get it done.
Well,
But
I mean, we've been waiting on some updated software from the county, and some of that technology and yeah, believe it when we see it.
yeah, some of those county systems, I think, are running on machines that were built 35 years ago.
Probably AS400s
Mhm.
or System 36s, maybe
Mhm.
some
We
38s
still have-
floating around out there.
We still have,
I know, we have one.
so we're set.
Great.
It's dusted off.
So anything else on the body cams, son?
No, I think
Another
that
cha-ching?
this is,
You say is there training that comes with those?
there's training. We actually have to send somebody as part of the grant that we have to send somebody, it's either 8 or 16 hours of training.
It's probably 2 months. 2 months till they show up ish.
Yeah, so we got time to do that. All right, other business. The only other thing I was thinking of, have you heard, had any discussions with North Allegheny?
I actually did.
Wow,
Coincidence, pure coincidence.
incidents.
I did talk to the superintendent.
Mm-hmm,
We are trying to get that back and moving again.
Okay.
They have an interim IT person. So we're just gonna move forward. We're
Okay.
not gonna wait until they make it permanent. We're just gonna move forward.
do you need us to do anything?
I don't think, I'll let you know if something.
What
comes
were
up.
they agreeing to?
It's just what was it, a 2 or 3 page agreement for them to.
They're hosting
how-
our,
They're hosting the cable site. So and we have money from Comcast, from a grant through Comcast. And that has to go towards improvements for cable access.
Mhm.
So we're trying to figure out how to move that money over. I didn't want to write one check to the school district. I want to know that it's going where we want it.
so that's what that is. It's been what, 2 years it's been sitting?
Yeah.
That's fine. We have the money. They don't. Anything else? Any other business?
We've earned 0.1%.
Yes, point one. $2.50. Anything else?
The cameras on the intersections and Lincoln and PennDOT, is that stuff that, you know, would be 2023?
Yes.
And would that be stuff to start sooner? Like, you know, planning out what some of
This
that
would
looks
be-
like?
This would be the time to start.
Okay. Okay.
Because I think Craig, you did that, right? You
Mhm.
had kind of the config for each
So that
Let me
was
see.
what, a year and a half ago at this point. I'm sure it's changed.
Right.
I can
Well, and it'll probably change even more because in theory, we should be able to turn some of these intersections on with 5G at some point.
right.
All right, so we've got, because you're gonna want, the budget stuff starts July. You want Craig to update kind of what he had done before? Do a quick update on that?
Sure, if he's willing.
Craig, do you have a few minutes?
Sure.
Some now in the next meeting to just update what you had done with latest technology, and we can start putting together some stuff for the budget?
Yep, I can do that.
Would be great. Anything else that we want to be doing, speaking of that you've got plans for 23? That you would like us to start researching?
We've been doing so much.
There's been a ton we've been doing, yeah.
How about, are we gonna rewire this building? Upgrade it? When we do
We're gonna-
renovation?
We are going to be doing renovations to the building. One other, I guess, camera related thing would be, although I think it's more a basic thing, if we can upgrade security cameras here as part of what we do.
Was that for 23 as well?
That would, we'll consider it in 23. with
Okay.
Other things that we're doing.
We had talked about cameras in the parks too. At some point that you were thinking some of the stimulus, or broader,
Yeah, I think it's so important that we do it.
okay,
And I'm coming at this from the standpoint of I've seen the benefit over time. The one difference that I have to keep remembering is that in my experience, we had 24-hour monitoring with those
right,
cameras, where we wouldn't have that capability here. But I mean, even if we have to go back and look at, the last 12 hours of history, it's better than where we're at right now.
right,
But I mean, I've just seen the benefit time and again to having them, whether they're the intersection cameras or whether they're the cameras on our property.
Well, and ideally, they'd all be on one platform.
well, that's,
Because the
yeah.
police department is probably the most likely to look
That's
for
what I
that.
was gonna,
that's what I was gonna, can add on to what Craig's doing and see.
Sure, I mean, it becomes one platform.
Yeah,
like we have-
whatever platform comes and we get the pieces and parts that go.
Go to control center. Under here.
Yeah,
but there's another thing too. With the state police being right there, they probably could get some kind of grants too. Because they're first responders, I think, the park.
Oh, you're talking
Just
about
the county.
The county
Yeah,
part.
I'm sorry, the county, right.
Sure.
So, we should be able to tie into that too.
They probably don't. I don't know if they have anything over there. I don't know if they have any cameras in the park.
I don't know if they do or not.
I've seen some cameras pop up on posts around the lake. I don't know where that's going. Maybe they're fake.
Eagle cameras.
No,
Yeah.
they're watching the path.
well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
that's,
just something.
Yeah, no, I
yeah,
mean,
no, it's,
well, and again, I would assume that the ones on the intersections, like, I think Ross has them, I think Pine has them. I think,
Where the dead spot.
Yeah, we are the-
but they talk, when something happens, they all talk to each
Yeah.
other, I think.
Yeah.
Like when the bank gets robbed and they drive away and if Ross if it happens down, they pick them up at Ross and then they get them when they hit 79 or up in the flats.
right.
And what do the speakers do? They have those big speakers on at night. On top of some of the posts. I never understood what that.
Those are actually.
It's wireless.
Microphone. The speaker, it's two twofold. It's a wireless radio signal that interconnects all of the signals actually from the county line down through Ross. And secondly, they have microphones set up for emergency preemption. So the ambulances and police cars are going through it. It automatically sets off green
Okay.
lights
Couldn't understand
in the
what that was
direction
for.
that they're picking
I
up.
thought, gee, maybe it's for weather.
No, it's,
No.
no, it's all for those emergency preemption of the interconnection.
Yeah, the McKnight corridor is nice because you should be able to. They put those posts
Right.
up by the old movie theater and Texas Roadhouse, I think.
Mhm.
So, I mean, in theory, if you needed to put your own, you should be able to put an antenna on those posts and cover the McKnight. The 19 one is the challenge because
So much-
19
a lot
well,
of interruption there.
the hills and you change from Consolidated to Verizon and
But if Ross puts that new building up, maybe it'll be high enough to put one on top of that building.
yeah,
Yeah,
That would work.
that would get
That would-
you to CCAC.
Yeah,
And if you can get the
CCAC,
CCAC, you can get
they can get up
to
here,
Cumberland at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah.
potential.
Something
Okay,
to bring
so,
up to Ross.
all right, so Craig, you'll do that, start with it, and then we can add on additional functionality. All right, anything else? Anything else in 23? Anything else from council's perspective from a technology?
Do you want to bring anything up about what Jack talked about?
What Jack was talking about, trying to get people to register for the pins on McCandless and me.
Right.
For
He was
the
talking
zoning. So that it wasn't people from not McCandless dropping the pins on the map in McCandless and me,
Right.
but I think
It's the same thing. It's,
how many pins are there out there right now? I looked
well,
at it briefly and a lot of them were like, this should be no left turn.
Well, and a lot of them are trash complaints and things that aren't zoning related.
I don't think a lot of people really understand what's all in zoning and what isn't. You know, what,
I think he was also referring to that running group. That they're all pushing for certain things
The trails.
and they're
things.
the
from the rails
trails
to trails.
and how it's going through some of the other neighborhoods
Yeah,
where it
he
doesn't
talked-
have to. It can
Talks
be
about
rerouted.
it.
But I think his concern was a lot of those runners are not Camas residents. And he was afraid that they would get on and give their opinions. And then things would move forward into the trails being somewhere else, rather than where it would avert some of the housing.
Yeah,
And come down to Shortland.
But we also have a comprehensive plan that laid out pedestrian movement,
Right.
alternatives pretty well. So we have a number of different documents.
Okay.
I mean, if there were a way to do it, I don't see why you wouldn't do it, but at the same time, like, if you make it too hard for somebody to put the pin on, they're not gonna put, the
nobody's
people
gonna
we
put-
want are gonna put the
they're
pin
not gonna
on.
put
The
it- they're
ones
not-
that are that enthusiastic about it are gonna figure out a way to still do it.
Well, and I don't think, I mean, the running group is not 10,000 people, that we have. I think you'd be able to see pretty well, kind of where it is. The rails to trails, especially the Harmony Trail. That's a big hot button,
Oh, yeah.
so.
Yeah,
I was just talking about, that was just an example,
Yeah,
which goes back to this placing the pins again.
right.
That was just an example that specialty groups.
Getting in there and
Yeah.
trying to sway things.
Right.
Well, I think as we look through that, we, just need to take that into consideration too, is
I said I'd bring it up, I did.
Yeah,
Great.
and I think if there's an easy way to do it that can be done,
We-
I think it would get done, but I'm not,
Go back and look at that comprehensive plan. I haven't read that.
I'm not sure there is.
I applied.
No,
Okay.
I don't think there's a way to, because if we lock it down,
It takes the anonymity away. too.
right,
No,
and people
and
aren't gonna want to do
I'm
that.
gonna play devil's advocate. for you. You know, if there is a strong desire for pedestrian movement, runners, bikers, whatever, you know, there's an element to that of, is there a need then to consider some zoning aspects or support businesses? You know, those types of things that would benefit from that type of activity. And I think of Little Oakdale over in the western part of the county. They have Helicon Brewery right adjacent to the Panhandle Trail with a bunch of outdoor tables.
Smart.
And,
That's smart.
Mhm.
and those people are stopping there all the time.
Well, and I mean, if you're a business owner in McCandless or you want to be a business owner in McCandless, you pay taxes too. You
Exactly.
pay business privilege tax and you're paying property tax either
You know,
through owning the building or paying rent, which in turn
Makes
pays.
sense, yeah. And we need to support the businesses. I mean, that's
Well,
one of the nice things about
I mean, I-
McCandless. It's a
I
good
think
mix.
it's, we tend as a society in Western Pennsylvania to get too parochial in our thinking. I'm thinking we only want input from McCandless people or whatever, but how many thousands of people come through McCandless in any given day? And what could we, what might we be missing in terms of business or
Mhm.
support activity?
Growth areas.
I think this came up in the comprehensive plan and you just discounted the obvious overage.
Yeah.
Like I think there was a
Yeah,
survey
there-
monkey or
there was a
something and there were
Survey
some
Monkey and they-
inconsistencies
somebody-
and
yeah,
they
somebody-
just,
wrote
There
it
was a
off.
group that skewed it. From what I remember, what all happened just before I got here, but
yeah, I think there was a question as to certain repetitive responses and it just got kind of,
Yeah, and I didn't even see it. So I think, but that's part of the, if we can continue to drive broader engagement across a broader population, that will settle, you won't have just one big skew because you'll just have, that's why I think it's important to get more focus and get more people out
yeah,
there and
'cause I think
participating.
one of the things that we've talked about internally amongst staff, and I'll just throw this out as an example, is that with North Park being here and the different types of activities, I mean, you have the pro bike run
Mhm.
business here. And look at that parking lot between the food that they serve and the products that they sell. You know, if we could convince LL Bean to move out of the mall and park themselves somewhere
Mhm.
on Ingemar Road, whatever, what kind of business would that generate? With the people coming in and out, or REI or somebody like that.
Right.
So, I mean, there's that potential if we look at land uses and zoning from that perspective, what can we generate? What can the community look like through the economic generators that we have, or the potential economic?
Well, and
generators?
you've got that whole little area on the other side of the park,
Sure.
where that's prime potential development. If you could get something, so you'd have run the bike place on one side, you get something else on the other.
Yeah. I mean,
There's
so
a lot of interesting things. that could
there's
be done.
different ways to look at it, but
Mhm.
you have to make sure that you're covering all the bases.
But Mike, in that survey, people could only go on at once, right?
No.
So we can have, out of that 700, it's possible that we have 100 people who duplicate.
Good.
as for the website, I don't think that is as,
That's, I don't think it's such a hot topic as the zoning, but
it's also not as high risk. I don't think it's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the zoning is,
Well, I think you were talking about 700 across
700
all three of them.
Across all of the platforms, and yeah, I mean, you had 43 people download documents from the pension plan, so, I mean, it was broad.
Well, I think on that zoning thing, they should only be allowed to go in once.
yeah, but then how are you gonna? There's no way to track that.
You could go on to different usernames or
Mhm.
whatever.
Well, that's true too.
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean,
Different emails.
any- any-
Everybody has multiple emails.
Anything at gmail.com and it would pass through the,
Yeah,
That's true. That's true.
yeah, it's hard to,
If somebody really wants to skew it, they'll figure out a way to.
yeah,
skew
they'll,
it, but-
yeah, figure it out.
A lot of times that's evident then too, because things are repetitive.
there's probably some way to track, the IP addresses of the responses and if.
Now you're
if-
talking money.
No, it's probably in there. You could probably
Yeah,
get
you
that on
can probably get it if
McCandless
you
and me
dig
now.
deeply enough.
Yeah,
And
Really?
if you get 100 responses from, maybe it's not the same IP address, but it all comes out of NordVPN, you can reasonably think that this might be the same person.
if we have something, we have that much input that is skewing it. How long is the zoning? At that, how long are we gonna keep that up?
It would be,
Our next
the
meeting.
the public meeting is currently scheduled for the 23rd of June,
Yeah,
and we would have it up until that,
so after that point,
yeah.
okay. So that one
And
will,
we're gonna, I think we're also going to put a paper copy, if we can figure out a few of the details, we're going to put a paper copy here, so those people that don't,
can't figure out how to drop pins.
or
Come in,
they just don't
Put little
want to be
sticky note, yeah.
bothered, they'll be able to do it.
Yeah.
Old fashioned,
Okay. Good,
low tech.
high touch, low tech. Anything else from anyone?
Well, I'm gonna turn one question around. Is there anything that you guys would like to try to tackle that you think? At least Marcy and Joe, you've been at this now for 3 years.
Oh, Craig has too.
Craig, something that we're missing?
I mean, I think the body cams are a good start, but
Oh,
I think the police department is probably still behind. I mean, I think as these things are happening up here, I mean, new phone system, enterprise software, the website, I mean, that's all, good. And then it's not like nothing has happened in the police department, but I'm sure there are things down there that help everybody, helps the officers, helps the community, that kind of stuff.
Same with fire.
Yeah, which I guess is, well, if we're gonna go that, same as the ambulance authority.
Yeah, but it's all your point on the first responder.
The first
It's
responders,
Doing more with the first
One
responder.
of the things, with the fire that I'd like to see us do are in the pre-planning and things that we would do for fire, that they have access either to tablet or laptop in the trucks of building plans
Right.
of
Right.
at least that pre-planned document that the fire marshal put together so they know what to expect. So that's one direction that I want to make sure that we're on top of when it comes to fire
Yeah,
safety.
because they can download some things, but you have to download them ahead of time. That's that product that
Oh, yeah.
And that-
is end of life.
Well, and that's one of the things, one of the reasons that I like a tracer or that type of product. It's cloud-based. We can give them permissions to read, or,
Right.
to view. Then they have access to some of that
Right.
work that we're doing. So that I want to make sure that we're addressing those needs. moving forward.
I mean, could we have the chief, have the fire marshal, the police chief, fire marshal, and or the fire chiefs kind of tell us,
Well, that's what I was
Well,
just thinking.
Like,
I was just
or
thinking, like,
come to talk
maybe
to
we-
us,
maybe
or
we do something similar to what we did
What,
initially.
2.5 years ago,
Yeah.
yeah.
That we talked to all of them with that focus.
Yeah.
Because the rest of us are gonna be pretty busy
Right,
getting up to speed on what we're doing.
right.
But I think I agree with you, Joe. It's time to,
It's time to revisit all that.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
the chief's now been in position for long enough. Yeah, so he's got a good handle.
Yeah.
The
As to what-
the
and-
police should have same access. They should have access to certain maps
Right.
of certain things, especially like in the schools.
Mhm.
I know I keep bringing up schools, but,
But that's, yeah. Mhm.
but really, seriously, you know, active
got-
shooter.
they got new radios, right?
Yeah, the radios
yeah,
got
but
fixed.
that's still not,
Well, I mean, it,
you know, you
No,
want to be able to
it was bad.
see.
It was,
It was
it was
bad.
really bad. Like, let's not, the
That's-
rate, I mean, again, it was like starting out, and everything was bad. They had bad laptops in the cars and,
Those strings were so tangled up between those cans, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was awful.
yeah, so I mean, I
It
think,
was
you know,
awful.
and again, it's the same thing. We're getting into 5G world, so there's gonna be potentially different opportunities with some of this stuff, but I'm sure there's things that the ambulance, the fire, and I know the ambulance gets interesting because it's more than just McCandless, but you know, I'm sure there's things, communication from the town to the fire departments, to the police department, communication in the school buildings. I mean, I don't know that ever went anywhere at the high school, the senior high. But,
When I left there, we had a book with all the maps in it. And we followed the instant command. Instant command was the person who was in the building, handed it off to the police chief. Police chief had all the access to the buildings. That's not good enough. You know,
Yeah.
there needs to be,
Well, I
At
think,
the time,
I think that there was a problem at the high school when you get in the middle of the senior high.
the radios.
The- the
ra-
It's
the
dead.
radios didn't
Radios
work.
It's
totally
dead.
dead.
The cell phones work because they're on the Wi-Fi,
Right,
but the radios. didn't.
radios didn't
And, you
work.
know, there's, like, in reality is the school district, if it needs a booster, the school district should be the one to pay for the booster, but
Mhm.
we also can
Help him.
figure that out and tell them,
Right,
you know.
the other thing is they have to make sure that they have different channels than say anybody else.
Yeah.
Because if they're talking on one channel, you can't have everybody
Mhm.
else. And if there's a so-called bomb, anything can set that off. So, but like I said, when I was up north, police and fire department had a rescue mobile unit. And everything it was like an instant command right in that.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And they
They could
had
just deploy to
technology out the,
Maybe the county will give you $500,000
No.
with violence.
it was unbelievable. For a small little community, I couldn't believe how advanced they were.
Yeah,
I'm just,
I could
I know.
see almost any part of the school that I needed to.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think Craig, Marcy and I, for doing this for 3 years or 2.5, 3 years, are like, there were so many
There's
fixable things wrong at the beginning.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's come, like, if you hadn't changed around the operations of the IT when COVID hit,
Oh,
it would have been a disaster.
mhm.
You wouldn't have been
Yeah,
able
oh,
to get
there's no
people
way-
working at
there's no-
home
no-
or,
no way we
like
would
all
have been
kinds of
able-
things. So it's,
Mhm.
well, good for you guys.
yeah, well, I mean, it's.
No, it was just, it's been just a team effort and it helped
I
to focus.
I
and
wasn't
drive,
aware
so-
of all this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we went through all that. We went through the 5G zoning and
Yep,
some of the other things. So, you know, kind of winding up on getting the major admin things done. And, you know, in reality, you know, you don't have to touch the phone system for at least 3 years. You won't touch the enterprise software for
Yeah.
at least 5.
at least, yeah.
You know, the website,
We'll get that,
hopefully the website, you get it platformed on something that you can actually
that'll grow
change
and change.
change the
things.
template every 2 or 3 years if you need to without it being a
We
huge.
need to put something in place that makes sure that it's continued.
Yes.
that, okay, at this time, it's the expiration date, what are we doing before that? I mean, we're only on this committee for so long. How are they gonna continue? I mean, that's something we should think about. He's laughing at me. You're gonna be gone, right?
No, not even that. I'm thinking about what you guys, Melinda, I mean, she's the longest serving person in this room in terms of McCandless. And I marvel sometimes at where we were 3 years ago and where we are right now.
Right.
I mean, that's good, but I'm just saying, don't you
Yeah.
think something should be
Oh,
in
no,
place?
absolutely.
So
because-
whoever takes over knows that this is the expiration date and somebody should. be
Yeah,
looking
we
at
should,
it.
we'll
Continuity and sustainability.
yeah,
Right.
document, once we get some of these, especially some of these bigger things going, the document when things to everybody, because that was one of the first things we did was ask for the lists of what was coming due when, because they didn't have it. So we have it now. All right, so on this first responders stuff, do you want to, Bob, talk to them and see if they're willing, if they've got bandwidth to, spend some time with us, and then I
Is
can
it-
reach out and
well,
set it?
no, it's actually good timing because they are supposedly working towards a strategic plan within all of the fire departments.
Okay, great.
And I'm pushing chief to do a 5-year strategic plan downstairs, so I think the timing is perfect to do that.
Yeah.
You say supposedly for fire, is that, are you skeptical?
Well, I'm only skeptical because I'll believe it when we hit the ground running with it. I don't know that they all have their committees together yet.
Because
We'll know more
Yeah.
next month. right?
they're basically 3 independent,
They are 3 independent.
Groups.
Yeah,
kind of.
That we're trying to push towards
working on it. Yeah.
doing more than they've been. At least.
The other thing that kind of went from by the wayside, I think, with COVID was, I know we talked about when PM started about kind of having them once a year come in and
Oh, good
kind of
point.
giving us the state of the IT union kind of stuff.
We
So
can do that.
it might,
That
it might
Can
be,
have Andy come in next time.
Yeah, that
it
would
might be
the-
worth just
I could-
I
taking a
think
little
good
bit of
point.
time
To get
to.
his perspective on things.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm sure he'll do that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, good. Anything else?
Thank you all for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you. All
I
good.
thought the storm drains were behind the times.
Oh,
So you're telling me everything.
no, no, no.
No, no.
Are you serious?
We've come a long way.
Wow.
I-
My eyes are like really opening. I'm on the storm drain
Yeah.
and I'm thinking,
Oh,
I just
no,
can't
we
get
were-
over how
Mhm.
I
far
believe,
behind that
I
is.
believe your previous IT provider isn't even doing that anymore.
I don't believe they are.
Oh, really? They got out of it.
Yeah, they went, it kind of got
Messy.
eaten up by Ford, was it Ford Business Systems or something like that?
Mhm.
Four systems.
Ford.
Ford.
F-O-R-D,
The copier company
Yeah.
that kind of,
took over that part of it.
My eyes are like this.
We could tell you some more things.
So,
But blow
You know
your
what?
mind.
It's sad and it's disappointing.
But we're much better now.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to hear that. but
Much,
it's
much
like,
better.
boy. And I don't think I'm that naive, but I never thought people weren't spending the money keeping up. with time.
I wouldn't classify it as spending the money. I would just classify it as
Knowledgeable.
in the 2000s to 2010 range. You just got into that weird period of people that basically had come their whole career without it
Complacent.
and were unable to make the jump into it. And now we're kind of, we're getting past, we're pretty much past that point now where most of the workforce has had a computer at their desk the whole time. So they kind of take a different attitude towards it.
Working on their phones, doing stuff online
Yeah.
is no big deal versus versus others. So.
Okay, I can see that. I can understand that.
And it was somewhat functional. You know, there was nothing really crashing and burning out of control. They got it done with bubble gum and baling twine. So it was,
I think people, and I'm not pointing a finger back to you, but in a lot of cases that I think even the staff, they had a specific duty. They knew the work that they had to do,
mhm,
but they didn't see it as the smaller part of the whole. They only saw their part, and it was like that in a lot of different ways. You nailed it. Things worked, they got done, but there wasn't any real progressive thing. It was
Right.
it just kind of went along and did what needed to be done.
It wasn't dissimilar here to like what happened in medical practices. You know, you had doctors that had been practicing for 20, 30, 40 years and did it the whole time on paper. And then basically the government came in and said, you have to do it. And, you know, there was a lot of interesting things that happened from 2008 to 2012 with certain doctors retiring, or the ones that you wouldn't think would have succeeded and it did. And it was just such a culture shift from, you know, and it really was amazing because it was 4 or 5 years where basically every medical practice was basically on paper, that everyone was on computers. And it was fairly similar here. It was,
Yeah.
you just had exactly what you said, people that had done their job for 10, 15, 20 years, exactly the same. And it's really hard to change that.
and they were getting it done.
Yeah, and they get it done.
They're getting
I
it
mean,
done. They're blood, sweat, and tears. They were getting it done.
Yep.
I think the pandemic had a big impact. on
Well,
that.
and then
Now we have the pandemic,
A
yeah.
lot of traditional thinking organizations and institutions were forced to
Yeah.
suddenly grapple with, oh my gosh, this is a whole new way to do business.
Right.
I think it went from panic to eye-opening.
Agreed. All right, if there's nothing else, going once, going twice, do I have a move to adjourn?
move to adjourn.
And a second. All right, we are adjourned for this evening. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you all in June. And again, just reinforce, send out to your minions, to your friends, to your neighbors. Let's get some website surveys back in and drive the traffic as well as for the zoning folks. I know they'd appreciate that. So thanks, Craig.